visit to St. Louis meant a change in fortune for the Supercross elite. And James Stewart is down. James Stewart has crashed. Ricky Carmichael down hard on the Suzuki. Chad Reed's going to get his first win of 2006 and take over the points lead here in St. Louis. Yamaha star Chad Reed is looking to be the first four-time St. Louis winner as he goes for 2 in a row in the Show Me State. James Stewart has showed the world that he is the man to beat. His Atlanta victory was his 6th of the season, and the points leader is hoping St. Louis is his gateway to a championship. 3-time St. Louis winner Ricky Carmichael looks to give his Midwest fans one last thrilling ride before retirement. Supercross from the banks of the Mississippi is next on Speed.
On a frozen night in St. Louis, Missouri, the best Supercross racers in the world have gathered inside the Edward Jones Dome to battle it out once again. Hi everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen alongside former Supercross Series champion Jeff Emig, and we're ready to watch these athletes have at it one more time. But to win in this series, you really have to be willing to give it your all, Jeff, and James Stewart has done that more and more aggressively than anybody else this year.
No doubt about that, Ralph. Last week in Atlanta, James started jumping this section that was so tough. Carmichael wasn't even willing to do this to try to win the race. You see him tripling over this. There was a big knuckle on the back. He had to stretch out to get the next triple. And, you know, he's doing that little bit extra and risking more than anyone, more than what Chad Reed or any of the rest of the field can do. He's just up the intensity. There is no doubt he wants to be the undisputed Supercross champion this year.
Well, riding like that has given James Stewart a tremendous amount of victories and a lot of points. I want to show you the standings, beginning with the World Supercross GP point standings. James Stewart leads Chad Reed by 16 markers in the World Championship. Of course, James, the reigning World Supercross GP titleist. On the AMA side, a title that James has not won before, he leads Chad Reed by 17. His teammate Tim Ferry, 43 markers back in 3rd. We have a very unique racetrack layout here in St. Louis. Some things we haven't seen so far this year. Earlier today, Jeff took a look at the racetrack here in the Edward Jones Dome.
Let's go on board here with DNA Honda's Jason Thomas for a lap of practice in St. Louis. Notice these guys will double into the sand section here, and you talk about some deep sand. Man, a lot of wheel spin there for the bikes. Look off to the left. That camera angle from the RoboCam is actually located up in the rafters. This rhythm section he's going through here, some of the top guys, Stewart, Carmichael, actually do that in a 3-3-1 sequence into a set of whoops. Got a lot of speed coming in, hit a couple times, pop out, take a turn. Another set of whoops with a triple jump. Out. That's going to be pretty tricky as the night goes on. A lot of speed coming across the start here. Hard on the brakes. Little on-off. You can go inside here also. Another on-off before the finish line. That's a lap of practice at the St. Louis Supercross.
Ricky Carmichael making his way into the Dome, shaking hands with all the fans, his final time here in St. Louis. Did you miss any AMA racing action? Want to relive the excitement? Watch all the 2007 AMA Supercross and Superbike events on Speed, on demand, online, and it's all free, courtesy of Yamaha. So log on now to speedtv.com, keyword Yamaha, and get up to speed. Big night of racing just a week ago in the Georgia Dome. James Stewart taking the win. Can he do it again here tonight? Stay with us on Speed to find out. Ricky Carmichael on top of his number 4 Makita Suzuki, getting set to go racing. Very relaxed, chatting things over with his mechanic Mike Gosler. The 4-1-1 for tonight's racing, 2 heats, top 9 going straight to the main. Of course, we have our one last chance qualifier, which will give us our final 2 racers to the main event. 20 riders, 20 laps, paying points towards the World Championship and the AMA title. And guess what? 1996, it was our own Jeff Emig, the winner. Here's Aaron Bates with the Progressive Direct pre-race report.
Well, guys, 8 different rounds have provided us with 3 different winners, but every single weekend, a very unique track. This weekend, uniqueness, take a look at this. Right behind me, a sand section. They're going to come blitzing off the starting gate into the very first corner. This is their first obstacle that they're going to hit. It's going to be the most inconsistent part of the track all night. Keep it on 2 wheels for 20 laps.
It's going to be a very tricky section. Here's your Dunlop starting grid. We get to see Ricky Carmichael and Chad Reed right away in heat number 1, but maybe this could be a good night for Davey Millsaps. He showed some stuff last week in Atlanta, Jeff. Some real good starts.
Yeah, he showed good starts, and he's showing pretty good speed this weekend here too. So see if his conditioning, after coming off that injury is up to par.
Carmichael gets the whole shot and into the sand section.
Michael Byrne on the 26 on the Suzuki. A couple of Suzukis up front there that definitely hooked up here in St. Louis.
Windham and Reed side by side.
Watch this section, Ralph. Triple for Carmichael. That's going to set him apart from second.
Sure did. Look at the gap he opened up between him and Michael Byrne by doing 2 triples through that section, Jeff. He's gone.
Well, Carmichael put St. Louis on his list of supercrosses that he was going to do in this limited schedule, and he likes this stadium. The soil here it's perfect. It gets nice and rutted, makes for a tough, tricky main event. The track changes.
Chad Reed, as you can see on the 22, has gotten around Michael Byrne and Kevin Windham. Windham around Byrne as well. So move Reed up to second, Windham to third, and Byrne up to fourth.
Talked to Michael Byrne earlier today. He actually was struggling with some of the bike setup and was around the team when they were discussing some of the changes that they would make, and was specifically for this deep sand section and trying to get the bike to squat in the back and actually go straighter a little easier. Funny as that may sound.
Kevin Windham doing his best to hang on to Reed. Well, he ran through that corner beautifully. So much of the speed in Supercross these days is gained through the corners.
Well, it definitely is. There's a lot of corners on each track, and the quicker you can get in and out of those turns and back down the obstacles, faster the lap time, because take this triple jump here, little triple out of the deal, hit the big triple. Everybody has to jump 60, 66 feet on the triple jump, okay? So where else are you going to make up time? Right here in the whoops and in the turns. That's something that Carmichael has mastered over his career, and Chad Reed also through his career has been known as one of having the best technique through the whoop sections also.
There's Preston on the 11. Travis running in 5th. Carmichael a 44.8, his best lap, and look at the gap back to Reed, who's a full second slower on his best lap average.
Well, that's what Carmichael's going to have to do if he wants a chance of winning here tonight in St. Louis and matching the speed that James Stewart keeps laying down each week. Each week in qualifying, Stewart's like a lap faster than all the other riders. And really, some of the races that he hasn't won is because he's taken himself out.
Let's give you an idea again of just how far. Look at how Ricky rails through that corner. Looks over his mechanic, Mike Gossler. There's the gap back to Reed. There's Windham.
I'll tell you, if you're Carmichael and you look over and you see second place that far back, that's a great feeling inside. Really helps with your confidence.
There's Davey Millsaps on the 118. The Honda factory rider running in 6th. Jeff coming back with some big injuries. Took him a long time to get here, but he's picking up the pace pretty quickly as he runs behind Preston, battling for a top 5 here in Heat 1.
Well, it's going to take him a while to get the feel and get the intensity back up here, but he gets pretty good starts and definitely has a lot of experience in Supercross, former Lights champion, and it's going to take him a little bit to get comfortable with himself and feel comfortable racing around a lot of other guys, because you can only practice so much before it comes time to race, and you can't practice with 20 other riders that want to take your head off at your private practice track. So it's going to take him a little bit of time here, but there's no doubt in my mind he's going to get it together and be up on the podium.
And a big kid, size-wise, and a lot of people thought that might be a huge advantage for him on these big 450s.
Meanwhile, Carmichael, much smaller in stature, but boy, when it comes to the amount of trophies and championships, nobody's bigger in that category than this man.
What do they call that, pound for pound?
Pound for trophy, for sure. Yeah, he's pound for title. He's huge.
All these guys opting to take the outside here. Not too many riders taking the inside.
Whoa, he almost got a little crazy there, didn't he?
Yeah, that's this soil here in Missouri. The composition of it is just awesome. But up until you get to this gray stuff here.
He's closing in on, looks like maybe the 150.
A couple of those lappers, they just basically pulled up out of the way.
That's Brandon Butler on the 524.
See, Carmichael, he had to switch it up in the whoops there. The 92 was on the left where he wanted to go, so he moved around a little bit. That's actually pretty good because then you get a chance, you don't want to get locked into one line because this track is going to change quite a bit throughout the night. By the time Carmichael sees this track again after this qualifying race, you will have already had the lights main event track to be totally chewed up.
One more time through the sand pit. White flag is out, final lap. Remember those names in red scrolling across the top of the screen don't have transfer positions, only the top 9 in green.
Carmichael's definitely making it look easy here tonight. Confident, relaxed, no pressure for the championship on the line. So I imagine he's having a great time tonight. This track is awesome.
Yep, he knows it's been a good heat. And he's laid down a 44.8, giving James Stewart something to shoot for in heat number 2, which we'll see here in a few moments. But the checkered flag waves once again for Ricky Carmichael as he takes another heat win in his historic career. Chad Reed is going to get second. Windham will take third. Michael Byrne will hold on for fourth. So Ricky Carmichael takes the win. We'll talk to him here from St. Louis when we come back.
The biggest names, the fastest button
Action, want to relive the excitement? Watch all the 2007 AMA Supercross and Superbike events on Speed On Demand online, and it's all free, courtesy of Yamaha. So log on now to speedtv.com, keyword Yamaha, and get up to speed. Show you the results from heat number 1. Those 9 riders just above that yellow line are all going to the main, including Carmichael, Reed, Windham, and Byrne. Brock Sellards and the rest, 10th on down, head to the last chance qualifier. Ricky Carmichael takes another win, Aaron.
He most definitely does, and he is making it look way too easy out there. Ricky, I got to ask you, though, not being a title contender for the championship, are you reluctant at all to hang it all in the edge in the main event?
Oh, I'm going to hang it out, but I want to stay safe. And I tell you, Makita Suzuki's working good tonight. I love this dirt here, and that's why I chose the race. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not going to take any unnecessary risks.
Ricky Carmichael has had great success here in the past. Look forward to a main event.
Well, they've already bought the gas and the hot dogs. We'll see if this youngster can get his priceless moment a little later on tonight. Ricky Carmichael wins heat 1. James Stewart coming up in heat 2. Here's our Dunlop up close for heat 2. Once again, 9 would transfer to the main, and the race would be 8 laps in length. Let's take you now to the highlights of heat number 2. Stewart for the whole shot. And Tedesco right with him as they jump into the sand section. Boy, Tedesco really trying to stick with James Stewart.
Well, if you're going to follow behind a rider, this is the guy that you want to pick because he's the fastest guy each and every week.
This corner right here getting big rut right there. It's becoming a one-line corner through there.
And then, and it makes that section tough for both those guys. You see both of them pace out. It's a 2-3-2 sequence that they're trying to do. But it's that entry out of the turn that you were talking about that's making that whole section difficult. James Stewart, though, our leader, he's doing it completely different.
Here comes Ferry. He's got a good run and an inside line. Takes the spot away. Put Tim Ferry into fourth.
You guys watch his riding style here. He is just so aggressive and so explosive off of sections. I think he's doing a section right here that we haven't seen. How he comes over this. Just here before the sand. So he's jumping in there. You just see the sand explode out onto his foot pegs.
Watch Stewart here as he went into the sand for the first time.
Oh, and Tedesco tried to sneak in there and actually, you know, block him out there a little bit. Couldn't make it stick, though.
Tedesco hung with him for a while. Checkered flag for James Stewart. No doubt about it. He has set the mark with a 44-0. He's the man to beat again. Nathan Ramsey trying to hold off Tim Ferry as we come to the checkered flag.
Let's see how this
going
works.
that inside line again. He's got him. Can he hang on? He does. Tim Ferry beats Nathan Ramsey to the line to take third. So James Stewart wins heat number 2. They had another rockin' opening ceremonies here tonight inside the Edward Jones Dome. We'll talk to James Stewart when speed returns to St. Louis. KX 450F, plus a trip to the AMA Supercross Series finale in Las Vegas. Log on to speedtv.com with this weekly code word. See speedtv.com for details and official rules. The Speed Dude for a Day contest presented by Kawasaki. Let the good times roll. Here's the results from heat number 2. No surprise is the name at the very top, James Stewart. He, along with everybody down to Jake Marsack, are going on to the main event. Keith Johnson and the rest looking at the last chance qualifier. Well, Aaron, here's something you've done a lot. Another interview with James Stewart.
James Stewart, the man to beat, setting the fastest heat race at that. James, I gotta ask you, is there any part of the track that you're gonna try tonight that nobody else is mad enough to do during the main event?
I want to, but I'm not man enough either to try this over both of these tailtops. I'm scared now. I'm acting like a girl, but you know, we just got to get another good start like we did that last time, and you know, help with Kawasaki, Fox, Oakley, and everybody. You know, I think we should. So I'm acting like a girl tonight.
James Stewart hoping to get his first win in the Supercross class here in St. Louis.
The reason why James Stewart is so fast and so good each and every week is because of the amount of training he does. A key to a lot of riders' success these days is the Millsaps training facility down in Georgia. Of course, it's been a big part of the success for Davey Millsaps. The person behind the Millsaps training facility, his mom, Colleen. Millsaps with a great move. Davey Millsaps wins here in St. Louis.
My mom's taught me everything I know, and if she wasn't here, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her.
Colleen being there and telling you what you're doing wrong when you're doing right helped me so much. She brought me pretty much up here.
Me, Davey, Martine, everybody. She just always on us so hard. Without her, I definitely wouldn't be where I am.
My role, I'm the I yell at them, you know, kind of critique them and tell them what I think they could be doing better and obvious things that they're doing wrong. Everything's timed. We have a timing system that we put their transponders on their bike so they can't say, that was a fast lap when it's right here. No, it wasn't, you know. Or just cut the track if it was too fast.
Along with Colleen's tutelage, the Millsaps training facility offers everything that a dirt bike rider could want. Supercross, motocross, and arena cross tracks, plus an on-site gym provide amateurs and pros the opportunity for success in national events. But that is only half the equation.
Kids look for guidance. They look for structure. You know, they want to be, and I hate to say it, but they want to be told what they need to do because they're not sure, you know? It has a lot to do with what's inside of them as people, not just as riders.
To the checkers and a championship. The Supercross Lights East Coast title for 2006 goes to American Honda's Davey Millsaps.
Our long-term goals for MTF is to create something like a farm system that's similar to baseball. We're going to train the amateur kids. We're going to get them ready to go into the pro ranks. We'll probably feed kids from the amateur program to a satellite team, pro team, and then on to a factory level team.
An incredible place, the Millsaps training facility. I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot about it in the coming years. A lot of great riders soon to be cranked out of that training facility. Here's the results from the last chance qualifier. Ryan Clark and Kyle Lewis will fill up the final 2 spots. Tyler Evans just missing, transferring into the main event tonight. Ricky Carmichael making his final trip to St. Louis. We'll take a look at RC's most memorable moments when we come back to St. Louis. Carmichael is remembered as much for his struggles in St. Louis as his enormous success. In 2001, Carmichael would guide his Honda to an easy win, earning his 11th career Supercross victory en route to his first Supercross championship. In 2005, RC would earn his 7th and final win of the season at the St. Louis Supercross. But after, all anyone wanted to hear about was the crash that wasn't.
I got a lucky horseshoe, I guess. You know what? I just got luck on my side, and the strength from my trainer, Eldon Baker. I was able to hold on to that dog, and it was a heck of a ride for sure.
Last season, Yamaha's Chad Reed earned his 3rd St. Louis win, while Carmichael had to regroup from this horrific crash in his heat race just to make the main event. Battered and bruised, he would settle for 20th place. What is your favorite moment? Log on to supercrossonline.com/RC to vote and your chance to win an autographed Ricky Carmichael jersey. Ricky Carmichael hoping to make another memorable moment here tonight inside the Edward Jones Dome. Mechanic Mike Gosler making the final adjustments to the Suzuki number 4, Ricky's final appearance here in St. Louis, and he loves this dirt here, Aaron.
He most definitely does, but the number 11 of Travis Preston behind me had a little bit of a funny story to tell us this week. When I caught up with him earlier, I noticed that he looked a little bit fatigued, a little bit tired, and he said actually the reason being my wife had just purchased a miniature donkey, and she brought it in onto their farm where they've got a whole bunch of chickens and stray dogs, and the problem is all the stray dogs have been attacking the donkey, which they named Bunny Ears, and it's kept him up all night long, every single night, trying to fend off all these stray dogs from attacking the donkey. A little funny story about Travis Preston as it's getting revved up and being dropped.
Aaron, I can honestly say that it's probably the first time a donkey has ever been a part of a Progressive Direct pre-race report. Here's the up close for tonight. Ricky Carmichael and James Stewart have both collected heat race wins. Ryan Clark took the last chance qualifier win. Here's a look at the starting grid. Our Dunlop starting grid. All the right names are there. Jeff, how do you get a feeling for tonight's race? What do you think's going to happen?
Well, I think we're going to have a great main event. There's been a lot of crazy stuff happen all night long, and the track's got a lot of ruts in it. I think there's going to be a lot of mistakes by each and every rider.
Heath Bosch used one of his provisionals to get into the main event tonight, so we'll actually have a 21 rider gate. Ryan Clark carrying our onboard camera on his number 32 Honda. There he is, all set and ready to go. The 32nd board is sideways. It looks like Chad Reed gets the whole shot.
Carmichael's buried back in the back.
Tedesco. Ivan Tedesco and Tim Ferry are both down.
And that was Tim Ferry trying to pick up the Suzuki of Ivan Tedesco, which Tedesco caused that. He went down in the sand.
Meanwhile, up front, Chad Reed and James Stewart battling hard for the lead.
Here's a charge.
Stewart inside. And Reed comes back, and down goes Stewart, and down goes Reed. And through goes to 917 of Eric Sorby. And there goes Carmichael.
And Reed's got his bike going. Stewart still has not started his bike.
Jeff, we know how hard it is to start these 450s. Now he's away. We had a feeling this was going to be a wild night. Eric Sorby on the 917 leading the main event in St. Louis.
Well, it looks like he needs to stay down at the Stewart facility more often.
Here's Carmichael. Carmichael is 4 riders behind Sorby.
Wow, that is an amazing turn of events there.
But Chad Reed is right behind Carmichael. So Sorby's about to get a lot of company. Nathan Ramsey runs in second. Here comes Ramsey. Also in this mix, to 118 of Davey Millsaps.
Carmichael sticking it in there on Johnson, I believe that was, and moving up another spot. He's up into 4th already. I'm sure he's going to be getting the pinboard signals from his mechanic, Mike Gosler, that the number 7 of Stewart's quite a ways back. Number 22 at Reed's just a couple behind him.
Stewart listed in 17th right now. Let's go back and take a look at Ivan Tedesco's incident, taking down Tim Ferry in the process.
Now you watch off the start here. Tedesco gets tucks the front wheel, and the bike actually flips up and hits Tim Ferry.
Boy, Ferry took that rear tire right in the chops.
See Stewart closing him off, and Reed just comes straight across. He came from way outside, straight across to take them both out. I'm sure he wasn't intending on taking himself down, but just pushing Stewart wide.
And Eric Sorby on the 917 continues to lead here. The rider out of Lake Elsinore, California.
He's actually a native of France, living in Lake Elsinore, California, but this is the first time that he's ever led a main event here. This has got to be feeling great, getting up in the laps led.
Carmichael gets around Ramsey. So the Makita Suzuki rider with that red number plate, because he's a reigning AMA Supercross champion, looking to catch Sorby. Sorby goes inside. It's a slower line, but a good line, and Carmichael takes the lead. The crowd cheering wildly, because this is Carmichael's last visit to St. Louis, and he's looking to make another memorable moment here in the Edward Jones Dome.
And when you talk about all-out speed here, the guys that can challenge Carmichael for the win, we're talking about Chad Reed. He's got a couple of guys in between him and Carmichael, but Carmichael's got a clear track now. I look for him to
battle for second. Nathan Ramsey on the 25, teammate to Chad Reed, who runs just behind him on the San Manuel Yamaha. So Ramsey's up to second.
Now see, these guys are taking that inside line there over the off camera. I don't like it. You see Sorby taking a look over his shoulder. He looked too soon because another second later, Reed came in on the inside.
Reed, Sorby right back at him. Sorby not afraid to mix it up, is he?
Well, this is someplace that he's wanted to be, and fortunately he had his chance to run up front here. And he's a heck of a personality, and I'm sure he's having the time of his life out here right now.
Jeff, we got to tip the hat to the 118. Davey Millsaps, he's running in 5th. And guess what? James Stewart coming like a freight train. Look at him through the whoops. The number 7 already up to 10th.
Yeah, Stewart just wheeling through those whoops, not even setting the front wheel down until the little triple afterwards.
Team San Manuel Yamaha battling right here for second. And Reed is past his teammate, Nathan Ramsey. Now, you can see Carmichael off in the distance. Reed about a straightaway behind. It's a gap of about 5 to 6 seconds between this man, Carmichael, and Chad Reed. There's Reed.
There's Ramsey. He's having the best night that he's had all season. You know, he's had a lot of bad luck and whatnot, but he's been suffering from bad starts. And here tonight, he's got a great start, so now he's running up front. This is what he's capable of doing.
And Stewart, head down, charging hard on the Monster Factory Kawasaki. Picking off a couple of more riders, including Millsaps. So that puts Stewart inside the top 5. You never know with James Stewart how we've seen him lose it, crash, and come back and fight all the way to the front of the field. He's doing it again here tonight. He's up on Kevin Windham. That's a challenge for 4th.
And what's amazing is right now Carmichael setting the fast time with 45.1 out front with a clear track. You got James Stewart just turned to 44.7, so 0.4 of a second faster, and he's coming through traffic even.
It's like the traffic isn't even there. Stewart, look at him pulling away from Windham. The drive he gets out of the corner, just incredible. And he's up to Nathan Ramsey now. Let's watch Stewart through the sand section. One of the trickiest parts of this circuit.
Look how deep he jumps in there, finds a good groove, and then tries to pick the front wheel up and wheelie out. You don't want to get the front wheel buried in that soft stuff, like we've seen Tedesco do off the start.
I mean, he's just reeled in Ramsey.
We're going to have to see if he gets a clear track and he hits that rhythm section, does the 3-3-1, because that's going to be the faster line.
Look at how far he goes through the whoops. I mean, he goes by Ramsey like he's not even there. Just incredible. Laid out, ready for the corner, and off he goes.
He is so dialed in right now. He is charging hard.
Talk about a rider in his zone. Well, James Stewart, very impressive. Let's go back to our progressive direct hole shot replay. Watch Chad Reed.
Chad Reed coming from 6 over. Everybody's bunching up there. Just keeps it inside enough to take the progressive direct hole shot award.
Well, to see this and other hole shots from throughout the season, visit holeshotheaven.com. James Stewart on a mission here tonight, trying to reel in Chad Reed and Ricky Carmichael. Can he do it? Stay with us to find out. Ricky Carmichael is leading, but look at the battle for second now. James Stewart has caught Chad Reed.
He is unbelievable ride right now. He is charging so hard. It was only 9 laps ago that him and Reed were both on the ground. Now they're in second, third.
Well, he can't rest there either, because 8 seconds in front of these two is Ricky Carmichael. But then again, since Carmichael's not running the entire season, getting just around Chad Reed is like a win as far as the points are concerned.
Well, that it is, but James Stewart likes to win races. He likes to win races convincingly, and he's definitely put himself in an opportunity here.
And he's got second from Reed.
Ironically, the same corner that they crashed off that first lap.
Was there a little payback in the way that he did that?
No, I think that he just wanted to make it stick. A little bit of attitude, but James knows that the number 4 is out front, and that's the goal. The goal isn't to have any problems with Reed or push him off the track. The goal is to win the race, and so he's got 9 laps to do it.
James Stewart's best lap, a 44.8. I should say Ricky Carmichael's best, a 44.8. Stewart's best, a 44.4. He's 10 seconds behind. There's 9 laps to go. Can he do it, Jeff?
I believe he can. He's going to be close.
Kyle Lewis has Ricky Carmichael behind him. Into the sand section goes Carmichael. Now, the one thing you're not going to get a lot of from Ricky Carmichael is mistakes, Jeff.
We'll take a look at this replay. Stewart just comes in with so much more momentum. Now, he was going to take the inside. He darts to the outside instead of taking the inside groove to block Chad Reed. Reed knows he's there, tries to sneak back around the outside. Stewart makes it stick.
Look at how quickly James got from the brake to the throttle and got around it, getting back into the gas like that.
Well, you said the proper words earlier, is that James Stewart is in the zone right now.
Well, you saw Ricky Carmichael fly past our onboard camera. You also see Ivan Tedesco back out there getting back up after the crash. Tim Ferry did so as well.
We'll keep an eye on the interval right now as you see Ricky doing that 3.31, which is a great line, turning a 46.5 this last time. They just dropped off the pace almost 2 seconds a lap because of the traffic. And right now the gap, or the last lap across the finish line, Carmichael and Stewart was 7.8 seconds apart.
And it had been 10 seconds prior to that, so Stewart has picked up about 2.5 seconds. But look at how he gets to that wood section.
He's in the middle of a lot of traffic there.
Tedesco caught up in that big pack of traffic. Carmichael already through that. Boy, Aaron, Ricky Carmichael looking so good here tonight.
Well, Ricky Carmichael flawless as usual, but if you can see his mechanic, Mike Gosler, pulling out the mechanics board, he's allowing Ricky to see exactly how far James Stewart is behind. This is not the first time we've seen James catch up, but he does have a fair ground ahead of him at this point. We'll wait and see what pans out.
Well, Aaron, on that last lap, Ricky stretched it back out. Jeff, he gained about 2 seconds back on James. There's Mike Gosler with the pit board.
Well, and I think there might be opportunity with that too, because Carmichael's got a clear track right now. They got through the bulk of the lappers, and Stewart's right in the middle of all those guys.
Well, Ricky Carmichael, the one thing we don't have a lot of opportunities, Jeff, is to watch him ride Supercross. Only a couple left to go. He's going to ride Daytona, which you'll see here on Speed, and Orlando. You'll see his finale, an AMA Supercross competition right here on Speed.
I'll tell you what, Carmichael he's on cruise control right now. He's just got all of his lines figured out. He's going to be real careful to stay out of all the deep ruts, stay away from the lappers, and not make any mistakes. definitely a sentimental favorite here, you know, to win this one. And he ends up locking this down. The fans here in St. Louis are definitely going to give him a lot of praise for that.
Looking for the gap back to Stewart. There he is. Ricky, of course, will join us in the booth some more before the year is out as well, including the season finale, which you'll see live here on Speed from Sam Boyd Stadium in Las Vegas that first Saturday in May.
Which is an incredible treat. We love having him in here and just firsthand knowledge and experience of what's going on out there. So it's something really special.
James Stewart has lost more time to Ricky. He closed it up to 7 seconds. It's back to 11.8 now. Do you think he's just settling in?
Well, I definitely think that. I think that he probably, after he moved past Reed, got into second place position, got the pit board from his mechanic, Jeremy Albrecht, that, hey, this is where you need to be. You're ahead of the guy that's at second points. Just keep it on 2 wheels. It's been a crazy night all around, and so for him to be here in second place in a position to take or add more points to his points lead is definitely what he wanted to do.
Unfortunately for Chad Reed, though, he saw the possibility with a hole shot, maybe get out and get a win, and instead he ends up in the dirt, and now he's looking at third, and again, losing points to James Stewart.
Yeah, as it is now, as it stands, he would lose 2 points to Stewart. We keep talking about that it's so important if you want to be Supercross champion, you go out and win some races, because what Stewart's done tonight is, for all this bad luck and being on the ground, he's dug deep, brought up his intensity, and he flew through the pack. I mean, he was going past guys like Windham and all these, that they were standing still.
We talk about how key starts are to winning in Supercross, and boy, Chad Reed put together a brilliant start here tonight. Ricky Carmichael putting together exactly what he had to do, taking advantage of the opportunity when it opened, and then disappearing into the sky here tonight, putting together some very quick laps, getting out front, pulling away, and making the gap just too big.
Well, I guess we can see why now. He chose St. Louis as one of his selected events. He likes this place, and he's making another great memory here tonight.
It'll be 1 to go for Ricky Carmichael.
Got to be a great feeling, Ralph. You know, he's still working hard, even though he's not racing for the full championship. He's still training and testing and working hard and focused as ever. And I think it's pretty incredible. He hasn't just, you know, taken some parade laps during opening ceremonies and kind of rode off into the sunset. This guy's actually still trying to win races, even as he's headed into retirement.
And you know what, Jeff? I don't think he knows any other way to do it. And Joe Nemechek, his teammate at Ginn Racing here on off Nextel Cup weekend. Joe, a big moto fan, flew up here with his son to take in the races and told Ricky he better get a win, trying to get him going. And it looks like it worked. Ricky Carmichael wins in his final trip to St. Louis, taking the victory in the Edward Jones Dome for the final time. James Stewart takes second, Chad Reed third. Another memorable moment for the one they called the GOAT. Edward Jones Dome tonight, hoping to get one more great look at the one they call the GOAT, greatest of all time. And Aaron Bates, he gave it to him. Another memorable moment for Ricky Carmichael.
He most certainly did, Ralph, and this track is known for making mistakes on, but the one guy that was consistent and absolutely flawless the entire race, Ricky, that was you. How did you manage to pull it off?
You know what, those 2 guys went down. I don't know what happened, but I don't know if I could have got him. I mean, I rode good, you know, I rode solid, but spotting those guys 4 seconds like that, it just ain't getting the job done. But they had carnage. Reed got back up, and you know what, dude? He had his chance to get me, and I put my head down, and I was cooking. I'm so pumped to get the win, man. You guys have no idea.
That was some tough luck last year here at the Edward Jones Stadium. What does it mean for you to come back with redemption and go out on top?
Yeah, you know what? To come back here and rebound, I love this place. That's why I came here, and what happened last year was crazy, and you're going to have those kind of races. But glad to get a win for Suzuki. You know, my streak's coming to an end here, and like to get one more out of the next
too.
Sweet success for Ricky Carmichael. We look forward to see him again in the sand at Daytona next weekend.
Oh, it's going to be great. You're going to see it right here on Speed. It's going to be a spectacular night of racing. Carmichael, Stewart, and Reed. And look at Kevin Windham, Nathan Ramsey, another great night. He's really continuing to improve.
Yeah, he keeps getting better each and every week, and that's a great ride for Nathan.
What a battle we had between James Stewart and Chad Reed, Aaron.
The tempers are flaring down here, that's for sure. James Stewart picking it up at the last second. What was going through your head, and what kind of argument was taking place with you and Chad Reed?
No, I just knew I had to get back up and regroup. You know, I'm in for a long run, and you know, I don't know. So, you know, I'm just happy to be up on the podium. You know, after going from dead last to come back, you know, I felt like it was a good recovery. But I just got to give it to Team Kawasaki. You know, the bike was working really good, and we'll just go to Daytona next week. But it's all good.
Now, you are so far back in the pack. Is there any point where you had thought that you were managed to catch up?
Nah, I knew I had to. You know, it was no choice. And you know, like I said, you know, I'm in shape, and you know I can run 20 laps as fast as I can go. So I didn't have no choice. It's just the craziest thing. You know, lappers are going now everywhere. Actually, they weren't any lappers. I was racing against them. So you know, I felt like I recovered good, and ended up with second place and still got some points.
And lastly, what words were spoken by Chad Reed to you when you pulled off the track?
You know, I'm just happy to be up here. You know, I'm just you know, ecstatic to be up here, and we'll see each other next week. And you know, no dirty moves from my part. You know, I'm just out here racing for a championship.
Congratulations out there. These guys are pretty tight-lipped, but maybe we can get it from this guy. Chad, what words were spoken to from James Stewart to you when the race was over?
I mean, we were nice. I don't know if we could repeat it, but man, I'm out there to race, you know, and I'm not going to get pushed around like I've been getting, and my starts are awesome, and you know, I felt awful all weekend, and I just wanted to get back in there and be aggressive, and you know, we came together and we both went down. You know, I didn't want both of us to go down this last thing, but you know, it's racing, and I'm super pumped to get back up, get on the podium, and just want to thank all the guys at San Manuel and all the guys at Yamaha. Man, Parts, Thor, Unbound, and all the guys at VP Fuel.
Well, guys, the battle is heating up here from St. Louis.
Well, and Aaron is going to go on to Daytona next week, but it's going to wrap up live on Speed in Las Vegas, Sam Boyd Stadium. Chad Reed and James Stewart will settle it there. Chad Reed is getting great starts, but when you watch James Stewart come through the field like he did tonight, it is so impressive. He leads the world points and the AMA points, extending the lead in both. And as we said, Daytona is next. We're all headed to Bike Week, getting ready for an incredible week of racing. Of course, Supercross is going to be a huge part of that on Friday. But first, the road racing season kicks off. 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, we'll have Daytona 200 qualifying. The Super Stock and Super Sport race get back together with Old Fast Freddie Spencer and Craig White for all that action. Aaron and Jeff will join me for the Daytona Supercross by Honda. You'll see it 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, Friday night, same day coverage. Saturday, 11 a.m., the Superbike race. We'll show you the Grand National dirt track action from the stadium, and then the granddaddy of them all, the Daytona 200 by Honda. What a great week. Can't wait. Headed down there Monday. Ricky Carmichael's last visit to St. Louis ends with him on the top step of the podium. The series moves on to Daytona. Bike Week is up next. For Aaron Bates and Jeff Emig, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from St. Louis. Congratulations to the GOAT.